You're listening to the Love Your Neighbor podcast.
Well, welcome. It's great to have you guys with us on the Links podcast. The Links podcast is brought to you by Brandon Wellness. I want to encourage you, if you are listening for the first time, I encourage you to go ahead and like and then subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is the Brandon Wellness YouTube channel. It really helps us to promote, to invest in the health and wellness of our community. And speaking of our community, we have a wonderful member of our community here today. Chase Hewer is joining us. Chase, welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Yeah. We've been waiting a long time to get you on here, and you got a tight schedule. So it's a privilege that we can get you on here and get to know. I have the privilege of knowing a little bit of your story, but we're going to share your story with the rest of our community. So Chase, just start out. Tell us a little bit about yourself, where you came from,
Sure.
How you got to Brandon.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting story how I got to Brandon, but I grew up in Sioux Falls my whole life. I bought a house there and lived there until 2016. We had our son, Erin was pregnant with our son, and we were looking for a house and didn't even look at any houses, haven't did any open houses or anything like that. And Zillow popped up a house on the marketplace, and we went and came and took a look at it and bought a house in Brandon. Didn't even know we were going to go to Brandon, and so moved here in 2016. So I'm a transplant.
Okay.
Been here for over 7 years now. It's been a great time. Learned a lot, but yeah, we do.
What have you, so growing up in Sioux Falls, you're obviously familiar with the area, but what have you enjoyed most about moving from Sioux Falls to Brandon? What's been the unique difference, or what have you appreciated about it most?
Well, in Sioux Falls, it's a smaller city, but you don't have like that community feel, or at least I didn't have that community feel. And maybe that was a proponent of myself. But as soon as I moved to Brandon, I had no more than 10 neighbors from our area come over and start talking to me. That didn't happen in Sioux Falls. So just the community aspect of Brandon is just overwhelming. And that was really encouraging because where I lived in Sioux Falls was more central Sioux Falls by Sanford. I talked to my neighbors when they were out mowing their lawn, but we didn't know each other. So just moving to Brandon and having that community base and all the neighbors around is just that's the big difference to me. Yeah. And it gets you more into what Brandon's about, right? And it's transformed what I believe what a community is. Because if you were to ask me in 2015 what a community was, I don't know, maybe.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get to you theory, but then you get to live it out. And of course, you moved in right next door to Mr. Brandon.
Yeah. Yeah.
What was that like? I mean, living by Harlan. I mean, what was that?
Oh man, Harlan, he's a great guy. It was like maybe a week after we moved in, he walked over, and Harlan, he doesn't have any reservations. He just walks over, hey, how you doing? Yeah. And you go fishing, and it was just great. He's just the fantastic family, and he's still a great friend of mine. Yeah. I still think of him as like a dad, right? You know, and we still talk to this day, and he's just a great guy, and it taught me a lot of things. Fishing got me into fishing.
So he got you into fishing?
Yeah,
wow.
He did. Yep. I didn't fish at all before this. I'm still a big hunter. But yeah, I did hunting 100% of the time. And, I thought fishing was a sinker, a line, and a hook, and you throw it out there and you wait. Nope. Now with Harlan, he taught me some different perspectives, and it's been great and got me addicted to that now. Yeah. So,
well, I've known Harlan for quite a while. I mean, it's a lifestyle for him. Like,
oh yeah,
there's fishing, then he squeezes like eating and sleeping around fishing. Like.
Yes. Yeah. It's like when you call or when we talk, it's 99% fishing related and 1% family. Well, I think that's kind of the general thing for all guys, right? Yeah. I mean,
well, living with 3 girls, I'm sure when you moved in, he saw you moving in, he's like,
yeah.
Yes. somebody I can go hunting with, fishing with.
Yeah, and even, Heidi, his wife, I mean, again, very, very welcoming family, and we still love them. And I think we're going to be going out there here soon. They just bought a house or built a house out there in Spearfish. So still want to keep connected with them, and they're just a great family, and I'm glad that we were able to meet them and enjoy their company.
Yeah. And you got lots of other great neighbors, but I remember when we first met, you were telling me, and I knew Harlan and that immediately, like we had a mutual friend there. So, okay, well, tell us a little bit about, you talked about hunting and stuff. What do you do when you're not, at home doing community stuff, doing dad stuff? What do you love to do?
Well, excluding the family portion, like you just mentioned, I do a lot of fishing. I try to get as much fishing in as I possibly can, bearing all the other dad duties and father duties that we have to do every day. But yeah, fishing is a large passion of mine. Hunting is also, but I do a lot of different things. I'd like to keep busy. I do not sit still. I make maple syrup.
Maple syrup. I did not know that.
Yeah. So I do my own maple syrup in Brandon.
Okay.
If I knock on your door, it's because you got some silver maples in your yard that I need to tap or would like to tap it first.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So right now we're in the midst of maple syrup production. So yeah.
Well, see, now you got to tell me about this. I had no idea about this.
I didn't either. So that's another thing that happened from Brandon. I'm part of the Ed Paulzine Cancer Fund, or the VFW Wild Game Feed that happens every year. One of the committee members there, Jim Johnson, he's like, hey, we tap maple trees. What are you talking about? We're not in Vermont or northern Minnesota. So yeah, it took me out about 4 years ago and showed me how to tap maple trees, and been hooked ever since. And it's really good to go out with the kids and tap the trees and burn it down and evaporate it off. And my mother-in-law very much enjoys the maple syrup. So if it wasn't for her, I probably wouldn't do it anymore to the scale that I'm doing today. But I got to feed that habit of hers. So I got to keep them happy.
She likes the maple syrup.
Yeah.
Okay. So a couple questions now. First of all, how much maple syrup is tapping? Like, how much do you produce in let's say a big year?
Last year was my biggest year. I almost did 6 gallons of syrup.
Wow.
So, 6 gallons doesn't sound like a lot, but it took over 225 gallons of sap to create that.
Do you collect it in, like, what do you collect it in?
Well, every year it gets a little bit more production-wise, so I've now invested in a food-grade water tank in the backyard. So I got that sitting in the backyard. I have a whole bunch of 5-gallon buckets, and so that's where I make sure I keep all the sap and put it in transport sap.
No kidding.
Yeah, with buckets.
So now with the Ed Paulzine Wild Game Feed, is syrup, does that part of the cooking process of the wild game, or is that just a condiment that you guys use? Or I don't know.
Yeah.
Tell me, maple syrup and wild game, how do they go together?
Oh, they don't really cross over.
Oh, okay.
So we typically don't use the maple syrup for that. I will donate. I didn't last year, but I will sometimes donate like a quart of syrup. And I know Jim, he'll donate some syrup because he does it as well, and some preserved jams, and we'll sell that as an auction item, right? Yeah, but that stuff's gold, man. It's tough to hand out, or even if people want to pay for it, it's hard to give away the amount of work that goes into syrup production.
See, what I love about that, it's like gardening, but you don't have to keep, you don't have to like tend the trees or do anything special with the trees.
No, I don't.
It's
as simple as you think. You drill a hole, you put a little tap in it, and then a line that goes into a bucket.
How long is the tap in the tree?
Like how long does it sit in there?
Yeah, from when you put it in to when you take it out.
That depends. So depends on how much syrup you want to make. There's typically in the springtime, right? It's above freezing in the daytime and below freezing at night. That's when syrup's going to run in the spring. Or sap's going to run in the spring, sorry. And it depends on how much syrup you want to make. So I'll pull them out even when the sap hasn't fully ran yet or fully exhausted its time. So 6 weeks, 7 weeks, depending. Wow. So it's amazing how much sap comes out of a tree.
225 gallons of sap.
Yeah, and that will happen in a week.
Yeah. Now I got to ask the other question because there's a lot of people asking this question. So how do you maintain with all of the things that you're doing? Because I didn't even you got all kinds of other stuff you're doing.
Yeah.
What's the key to keeping mom happy, to keeping Erin happy while you're doing all these things? Or is that how you keep her happy, is by staying out of the house?
I think it's a combination of both, right? Like she loves to read, and me, I'm a talker, right? And so if I sit on the couch and she's trying to read a book and I'm sitting there talking, she's probably getting a little annoyed. So maintaining that, going out, still having dates and making sure you're handling all your fatherly duties as well. But, after 9 o'clock is my time to shine, 9 p.m.
Okay.
She works early in the morning, so she goes to bed pretty early. So from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. is kind of my time. I also don't watch TV or really any movies. I don't have shows to watch or anything. Okay. So, just maintaining and try to prioritize what's important.
So I feel like if we lost like the power grid in America, I feel like you're one of the guys that I'd be like walking to your house and saying, "Hey Chase, what are we doing?
Yeah, stop over.
What's the plan?
We got our bug out bag. We're going. We're ready to go, man. Let's make sure that we can survive and thrive."
Well, good. That's good. See now we're not going to share your address or anything because I want to make sure that the whole town doesn't go there. But this is good. What was talk to us a little bit? So when you're not making maple syrup, hunting, fishing, tell us about your day job. So how do you finance all this stuff?
My wife does. No, I work at Premier Bank Card over there on North Louise Avenue. So the big bank, the bank card area over on I-29. So you're driving past Benson Road and you look to the west. That's where I currently work. I've been there for 15 years.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. So pretty much been your whole working career? I mean, pretty much, or?
My whole working career, since college, since going from college to deciding I was going to be a cop to not being a cop and still working at Premier.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you started in college, have kind of worked your way through have you always done the same thing, or are you doing different things? I'm not a bank person. Yeah. I'm not a numbers person.
Yeah.
I'm a talker, kind of like you. Yeah. So what do you do? I mean, what's your role?
So Premier Bank Card is a credit card, we're a credit card company across the nation. So we service cardholders everywhere, every state, right? So we have our sister company, First Premier Bank, or Denny Sanford. Everybody knows Denny Sanford. So he owns Premier Bank Card. So what I do there is I manage the collections department for Premier. Along with 7 other people as well. So I do a portion of that, and it's our later stage accounts. So we have a total of about 130 people that work in my area, and just make sure that we're maintaining our budget, making sure our people are happy, just encouraging people to continue to pursue their career at Premier, and be an advocate of us and inside and outside of Premier. So it's we don't deal with the banking side of it. We deal with the credit card side of it.
Okay.
So it's we're a very large MasterCard issuer. We're one of the top in the nation.
Oh wow.
So we do quite a bit. So
how do you keep people encouraged that seems to me to be a pretty difficult job.
Yeah, right.
Calling people and saying you owe us money.
Sure. Yeah.
For stuff that they maybe don't even have any. I mean, what's that? How do you coach, or how do you lead people that are in that role where they're having hard conversations literally every day?
Sure. I think it depends. So the way we work, we have an ability to help our cardholders out quite a bit. We have a lot of programs, credits, that type of thing that we can definitely do that. So, just talking to people is, I think, a part of that process, letting them, vent if they have problems, or, encouraging them, telling them how, what they did for the day, and expressing, your appreciation for what they do, because they're the real people, right? They're the ones that are on the phone. I used to be the guy that was on the phone, so I understand what they go through every day. So that's what I appreciate is, I've been there, I've done it, And I understand how difficult the job is. So they're the true warriors, right? Like without our customers, we don't have a job. But without them, we don't have a customer. So it goes hand in hand. So just appreciating what they do every day and making sure that they're aware of that. And I think that's important. That was important for me, right, when I was there.
Yeah. What was the process of getting into that leadership role? Did you just develop that? You just kind of, that was your fit, or were you said, hey, this is what I wanted? Was it, I want to do this, or did someone go, I want you to do this?
Yeah, it was kind of both, right? Okay. So when I was on the phone, I did pretty well, right? And they didn't say, hey, Chase, you should apply for this, but a couple of people said, you should apply for that. You know how to collect. You know how to do this. So you should do it. I managed people back at Burger King, worked at Burger King for 3.5 years, and I was a manager there for a while, but not to the degree that we have at Premier. So I applied in 2011 and got my first supervisor role, and it's just kind of progressed from there. I had a lot of great mentors to show me a way, a path that's going to help succeed. It's all about managing, people and making sure that they're properly coached and appreciated. So I had a lot of good mentors. Get a mentor if you don't have a mentor. They're very important and help you progress. So mentors kind of pushed me along, and it just kind of progressed. It was just natural progression, and it wasn't something I strive for. Back in the years, I always used to do things for money. I don't do things for money anymore because I know that is not a good path that you want to go down. If you do what you're passionate about, you'll be taken care of. So.
Yeah, that's good. It's good wisdom.
Yeah.
You do things now for maple syrup.
Yes, I'm passionate about that.
Yeah. Well, tell us a little bit. Let's just kind of close up the conversation. Tell us a little bit. Now, we haven't talked about being a dad. As a dad, what are you hoping for your kids? I get the privilege to know your kids a little bit. What are you hoping that, maybe 10, 15 years from now, what will they look back and go, this was true about Dad, or I learned this from Dad? What are you hoping to impress in your kids?
Just to be around them, just to be there. Like Dad was always there for me. He was there when in the highs and the lows. He encouraged me. I want to push that forward with my kids. When they have kids, I want them to do the exact same thing or better than me. And don't be me, be better than me.
Sure.
So that I'm always there for them. I want to see them succeed, but I'm not going to push them to things that they don't necessarily want to do. My son wants to play football, we'll play football. If you don't want to play football, we'll do something else. We got to do something else. We're going to be good at it, but you're going to pick that and just be there for them. And they understand that I was always there for them.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, that to me, it's why we do this podcast, right? Like, because I think that's what all of us want. You do a great job of articulating that, of saying that. So, Chase, I really appreciate you being here and sharing a little bit of your story. We're a part of Brandon Wellness, and you and I have talked a little bit about this. But what would a wellness center mean for the community of Brandon? How do you see that impacting dads and their kids, marriages, families, health? How do you see a wellness center being a part of our community going forward?
I think that would, for the first thing, if we get a community center or a wellness center, right, I believe that's going to help grow the community. Mm-hmm. And again, we already have a strong community of our neighbors, of people. Again, being a transplant, I didn't know what community was. So and now I understand what Brandon has to offer and for our neighbors, church, whatever, bringing more people into Brandon and letting them experience that. I think that's really important. Yeah. And it would be very welcome to get some new people, not saying more transplants, but more people in the area to feel what community is and what a small town, large town feel can be. So I think that's awesome. It'd also get me to start working out a little bit more. Mm-hmm. So,
well, you don't have time to work out.
Well, right? I know. I got to figure that out.
But if you can do it, like that's one of our dreams with the wellness center is that you can, the kids can be doing something, on the turf or on the courts or doing a class, self-defense class, something like that. And then, you can be doing something else. You can be working out yourself or shooting hoops or, running on a treadmill. Our hope is really to bring that together because Brandon, I think our greatest resources are people. And that's why we do this podcast and we'll never run out of material.
Right. I mean, even looking at Brandon. So I'm a coach for BASA. I coach Brooks's team. Even having that as an avenue. Right now we're having trouble finding space to practice. Obviously there's still snow on the ground and it's wet and it's sloppy. We don't have a place to practice really. So even having that as a place to bring in additional practices and just have a more space to bring more people together would be fantastic.
Well, we're going to do it.
Okay.
And the goal is within the next year we can have indoor soccer but it's going to take all of us. I mean, it's going to take literally every house in Brandon is going to have to invest in this. Whether it's a monthly, whether it's an annual, whether it's a one-time gift. Our model is that everybody would have an investment in it. Yeah. And just like Brandon, everybody brings something unique to Brandon. To build this, it's going to require everybody because we've looked at different communities and we don't want to go down the road of having a corporate, no offense to, First Premier. But we want to have local ownership.
Yeah.
We want to have people in Brandon to say, hey, I'm invested. I have my brick in the wall, so to speak, because we celebrate 50 years as a community, as a town, as an established city. This will be for the next 50 years.
Yeah.
And for not only for your kids, but for your grandkids and their kids. So
yeah, no, I'm excited.
Cool.
It's gonna be a great time.
Well, we'll get that check. You just get that checkbook out. Okay. Do you guys still do checkbooks? Do you guys?
No. No checkbooks.
No checkbooks.
Automatic payments. And if you ever need a check from me, I'll just do an online bill pay, and you'll get a big old check.
Well, maybe we should do. What we should do for fundraiser? Let's do fundraiser. I mean, we can do maple syrup.
Hey,
for the wellness center.
Pancake feed.
You got it.
Well, I'll have to get some more sap.
We're gonna have to do a lot more sap tapping.
Yeah, that's right.
All right.
Yeah.
Hey, Chase, it's great to have you, man. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for having
me. Thank you for joining us on the Love Your Neighbor podcast. The purpose of the Love Your Neighbor podcast is to build community one conversation at a time. You can help us build that community by sharing the podcast on your social media channels and rating our podcast on whatever platform you're listening from. Another way is to let us know of any neighbors who have a story. Go Leaks!